Hi, my name is Curtis Whitson. This is a basic video about the pipette connectors. A pipette connector is basically a line with a single arrowhead denoting data flow direction. I'll show you here. There are two types. This is an elbow connector. It can be connecting a resource to a process, as shown here. But the connector cannot connect a resource to resource. This is not allowed in pipette. So we'll let this be linked, the input resource to the process here, a PVT compositional simulator. If you want to connect more than one resource process together at a time, you can double click up here on the icon and then make several connections, as shown here. Now, in addition to the connector giving pipette runner the information it needs to know to establish order dependence of process applications being launched and which processes can be run in parallel, the connectors also help in defining the process resource links. And here we have the process being an application of phase comp, and it has an input file and an output file. And the way the script has been written now, it's been hard-coded, but of course we prefer using in pipette relative file names, and we'll insert those now, basically giving the file name to this input resource. We'll insert that, and it has this syntax, resource 1, which is connected to the process, into input socket 1. And we can see how that translates by testing the script. And you can see that it pulls in the name of the file here, which is given here. We can then put the output file in the same way. We'll go in and select the output, insert the new reference. Now it says this is resource 1 connected to the first output socket. We'll test the script and we'll see that we now have the input files as shown here. So now we can run this project. Let's go ahead and reset the modified status to make sure both applications will run. We'll turn on the view console, the timeline, and launch the project. And as is by default, the pipette runner will launch the two applications in parallel, as shown here on the timeline. Now, to illustrate, if we wanted to change the file name connected to the input, for example, with a different equation of state, we could do that here. We'll set the resource file name, and we'll change it to this input file instead of the new EOS. So now this has a new input file name, new file name connected with it, but the actual launching is the same. But if we test the script as it's been interpreted, you see that it's now with the new input file. And we can rerun the project. And this time the reservoir simulator doesn't need to be launched because nothing's changed, and it only launches the PVT simulator. The connectors can also be used to force a sequential execution of a project. And in this case, let's say that we wanted to run the PVT simulator first and the reservoir simulator next. So we could use a connector to connect the output data file to the second process we want launched, so that this file has to have been created from the first application before this second process is launched. So now when we launch the project, we'll go ahead and reset the modified status to make sure both applications are run. And now you'll see that the two applications are run sequentially. First phase comp and next sensor. The connectors can also be used in connection with composites, and basically they have the same function, but they're used together with sockets. We'll go ahead and create the PVT simulator composite. I'll rename it here. And what we have inside is exactly what we had previously, but now we have this added element, which is the socket. And basically this socket is the connection to the second process sensor, the reservoir simulator. And you see when we click on that socket, it shows us what it's connected to. Let's go ahead and make this reservoir simulation into a composite as well. Rename it. That. Now I'm going to redo the connector in a little more aesthetically better layout. And now we've got inside the reservoir simulation composite, we also have, as you see, a socket to which the connector is linked. Now, if we double click on this socket, that will bring us back to the resource, the output resource from the first application. So now we have a two composite top level project, and if we reset the modified status so that everything runs, this project should also be run sequentially. First the PVT simulator and then the reservoir simulation. Now there's another way to make connections from within composites to other composites. Let's go ahead and delete what was created automatically here. We'll do the same in the reservoir simulator. We'll just delete what was created. And let's say that we had these two composites created, but we now want to connect them together. So to do that, we just set up a connector here, for example, and we move towards the edge and we hit the Alt key, and what that allows us to do is to bring the connection into another composite like this. And now we've made the connection from here. I'll go ahead and change a little bit the layout. So this connector here through the socket, double click, is connected to this resource through the socket here. Double clicking on that brings us back here. And that's, I'll go ahead and clean this up as well. Another nice feature is that if, for example, we happen to delete accidentally a socket that's needed to bring the connector to the other composite, then we'll get this red color of the connector saying that there's a missing resource or process. And we'll also get the red connector on the connector between the two composites. So we'll just undo that, bring it back, and everything is as it should be. Now, in general, the connectors are not given names. They can be, but there really is little use for that. You can change the size and color of them. In some cases, that may be of use. We go into the display settings for the line. We can maybe make a larger, a thicker line in a different color. Let's just take one of the default colors here, apply that, and you can see that we're back to connector, but with a much different look. You can bring that back to the original by taking away that custom, applying it, and we're back to the default look of the connector. And finally, I mentioned at the beginning, there are two types of connectors. We can choose straight connectors. In some cases, you may want to have a straight connector instead of an elbowed connector. So what we have here is one of each, and we can take and move this one. As you see, it'll always be held straight like that, as opposed to the elbowed connector. Okay, so in conclusion, we've gone through the basic characteristics of the pipette connector. It's a line with a single arrowhead denoting data flow direction, and it connects resources to processes or processes to resources. It allows the pipette runner to establish the order dependence of process application launches and which processes can be run in parallel. And you can use the connectors together with sockets to connect resources and processes within composites and amongst composites. It's clearly useful in creating for the user of the pipette project the order dependence of resources and processes. And I hope that you enjoyed the video and enjoy using pipette. Thank you.